It began with a voice that promised heaven. In the 1950s, in the Rust Belt city of Indianapolis, a young preacher named Jim Jones stood before his first congregation. He wasn't born into power. He wasn't born into wealth. He was the son of a poor, sickly man and a bitter mother. But Jones had one gift, a voice that could move people. He spoke with fire, with conviction, with the rhythm of a prophet. He thundered about equality, about justice, about a new world where the color of your skin or the money in your pocket meant nothing. And the people listened. They called him the little man with the big vision. In a segregated America, Jones did the unthinkable. He opened his church to everyone, black, white, rich, poor. He preached against racism in an age when it could get you killed. Families came in curiosity and stayed in awe. His sermons shook the rafters. He laid hands on the sick, and some swore they rose healed. He kissed children on the forehead and promised their mothers he would protect them. He wasn't just a pastor. He was a savior in the eyes of many. But behind the sermons, there was something darker. Jones studied cult leaders, dictators, even Nazi propaganda. He devoured their secrets of control. He watched how men bent crowds with lies and repetition, how they used fear and love as chains. And he began to practice. He staged fake healings. He planted people in his audience to act crippled, only to rise when he touched them. He preached that he alone carried God's truth. And when some dared to doubt, he thundered that doubt itself was the devil. By the 1960s, Jones had built something new, the People's Temple. It wasn't just a church, it was a movement. He promised his followers a family, a purpose, a revolution against the corrupt world outside. And they followed him in the hundreds. They sold their homes. They signed over their paychecks. They placed their lives in his hands. In San Francisco, the temple grew powerful. Politicians courted Jones, hungry for his army of loyal voters. He stood beside mayors and shook hands with governors. Behind closed doors, he stockpiled drugs, weapons, and files on his enemies. He preached socialism, revolution, and apocalypse. He told his followers the world was burning. Only he could save them. But salvation had a price. His flock worked without rest, gave without question, obeyed without hesitation. He told them who they could love, where they could live, what they could eat. He broke families apart and remade them in his image. In public, he was a saint. In private, he was a tyrant. He raged, he punished, he humiliated. He staged loyalty tests. Forcing followers to drink wine, he told them, was poisoned, just to watch who trusted him enough to swallow. And each time, when they lived, he laughed. See, you are loyal. You are mine. The temple became a fortress of devotion. Outsiders whispered the word cult. Insiders whispered nothing at all. They were too afraid. And yet, they stayed. Because in the eyes of the faithful, Jim Jones was not just a man. He was the voice of God, the architect of paradise. But paradise was not in America, he said. Paradise was waiting in the jungle. Soon, he promised, they would build it. A utopia far from the eyes of the enemy. And his followers believed. They were ready to leave everything behind. The stage was set. The prophet was leading them out of Babylon, and where he would take them was hell. In the mid-1970s, Jim Jones told his people that America was doomed. He said the government was plotting against them, that fascists and racists would soon round them up and kill them. The only way to survive, he preached, was to leave. And so hundreds of followers sold everything they owned. They boarded planes, buses, and boats. They left behind parents, children, jobs, and homes. Their destination was Guyana, a small jungle-covered nation on the northern coast of South America. There, Jones promised, they would build a utopia. They called it Jonestown. From the moment they arrived, paradise felt more like a prison. The settlement was hacked out of thick jungle, the sun scorched by day, the insects swarmed by night, crops failed, tools broke, supplies ran short, and yet Jones told them to rejoice. He called it the Promised Land. Loudspeakers blared his voice day and night. Work crews toiled from dawn to dusk. Children marched in formation, chanting his slogans. At night, Jones ranted for hours, his words pouring from the dark like thunder. He called it training. His followers called it white nights. During these nights, he staged drills for mass suicide. He said the CIA was coming, the Army was coming, the world outside wanted to destroy them. He handed out cups and told them it was poison. Some wept, some prayed, some drank, and when they survived, he told them they had passed the test. But the fear never left. Jonestown was not a utopia. It was a cage. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Passports were locked away. Letters were censored. Anyone who tried to leave was branded a traitor, an enemy. Jones filled the air with threats. He told mothers that if they tried to run, their children would be killed. He told husbands that if they betrayed him, their wives would pay. And the people obeyed because they were trapped. Some whispered doubts, but only in shadows. They were exhausted, starving, and sick. Malaria spread. Medical supplies ran out. Jones himself grew weaker, addicted to drugs, ranting through the night, paranoid and trembling. He told them enemies were everywhere. He told them America wanted them dead. He told them death itself was better than surrender, and still the faithful clung to hope. They planted gardens. They sang hymns. They wrote letters begging relatives to visit. But the outside world was beginning to notice. Families back home demanded answers. Journalists started asking questions. And then a congressman decided to see Jonestown for himself. His name was Leo Ryan, and when he stepped off the plane in Guyana, Jim Jones knew his empire was about to crack. November 1978. The jungle air in Guyana felt heavy, thick with secrets. Congressman Leo Ryan had flown in from California, answering desperate pleas from families in America. Mothers and fathers begged him, "Go see Jonestown. Find out what's happening to our children." Ryan brought journalists, aides, and worried relatives. They wanted answers. At first, Jonestown put on a show. Jim Jones greeted them with a smile that hid his trembling hands. The people sang hymns, waved banners, clapped for their leader. Cameras rolled as Jones declared it the happiest place on earth. "Look at our children," he said. "They are healthy. Look at our gardens, our unity. We are free here." But behind the smiles, eyes were hollow. When the microphones turned away, whispers began. "Help us," someone muttered. A folded note slipped into a reporter's hand read, "Please get us out." More notes followed, more whispers. The cracks widened. Ryan listened. He asked questions. Some said they were happy. Others begged him to take them away. Jim Jones watched, his paranoia boiling. He saw loyalty draining like blood from a wound. On the second day, families gathered near the congressman's plane. Some clutched babies. Others carried nothing but fear. They said they wanted to leave Jonestown. Jones's mask began to slip. He raged in private, shaking, sweating, demanding to know who had betrayed him. "They're lying," he hissed. "They're CIA. They're here to destroy us." As Ryan prepared to leave, the tension snapped. A man lunged at him with a knife, screaming. Ryan survived, but the message was clear. Jonestown was no paradise. It was a trap. The delegation rushed to the airstrip at Port Kaituma. Families scrambled aboard trucks, desperate to escape. Jones sent his men after them. Armed with rifles, they rolled up to the small jungle runway. As passengers boarded two planes, the guns opened fire. Bullets shredded the air. Journalists fell. Defectors fell. Congressman Leo Ryan was hit again and again until his body lay still on the ground. It was the first time in American history that a sitting congressman was assassinated. Survivors scattered into the jungle. Blood stained the runway. Back in Jonestown, Jim Jones heard the news. Ryan was dead. There was no way back, no escape. Only one final act remained. He gathered his followers. He raised the microphone. His voice shook with fury and despair. And he told them it was time to die. Night falls on Jonestown. The loudspeakers crackled to life. Jim Jones's voice, weary and trembling, echoes across the jungle. "They are coming. The soldiers will torture our children. There is only one way out." His flock gathers beneath the pavilion, thousands of eyes glimmering in the torchlight. Mothers clutch their babies. Old men drag themselves on canes. No one dares to leave. On a wooden table stands a vat of grape-flavored drink, laced with cyanide and tranquilizers. The cups are ready. The air is thick with sweat and fear. Jones raises his hand. "This is not suicide," he insists. "This is a revolutionary act. We choose dignity. We choose death." The first to drink are the mothers. They kneel, pressing cups to the lips of their children, tiny throats swallow. Minutes later, screams pierce the night. Infants convulse, foam spilling from their mouths. Parents wail, but Jones's voice cuts through. "Stop this hysterics. Death is nothing to fear." One by one, the line moves forward. Some drink willingly, others are forced. Bodies drop, twitching, silent. The ground is soon littered with limbs tangled together, a grotesque tapestry of devotion and despair. Jones sits on his throne-like chair, muttering into the microphone, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." His voice grows distant, slurred, as chaos swallows the camp. Hundreds fall within minutes. Journalists' cameras left behind capture nothing. Only the jungle hears the last gasps. By dawn, the pavilion is quiet. More than 900 bodies lie still, faces pressed into the mud, arms wrapped around children who will never rise. The parrots shriek in the trees above, the only witnesses to the massacre. Jim Jones lies among them, a bullet in his head. Whether by his own hand or another's, no one knows for certain, but his prophecy is fulfilled. Jonestown is gone. The world wakes to headlines that defy belief. Mass suicide in Guyana. Black and white photographs show row after row of corpses. The airstrips, the pavilion, the jungle, all stained with a single truth. Faith twisted into horror. Jonestown was not just a tragedy, it was a warning, a reminder of how fragile reason can be when fear is weaponized, when one man's voice drowns out all others. Even now, decades later, the echoes of that night still haunt us. The chant of children, the cries of mothers, the silence of the dead. And the question remains, How many other Jonestowns still wait, hidden behind the smiling face of a leader who promises paradise?